Welcome to a new era of BMW, so the marketing speak says. But what is this? Well, it's the new BMW iX3, of course. It promises over 800 kilometers of range and 400 kilowatt DC charging, which sounds very, very impressive. But first of all, we need to talk about this. I've had some comments on social media, some words, just one word, Jesus. Now, I kind of like it. It's compact, it's not massively big, and it does remind me of the grille of the early 2 Series in parts. You have this huge light bar, which of course is essential for every new vehicle these days. It has to have a light bar. There's even a little bit of a glass around, or is it silver? It's kind of hard seeing this light on the BMW logo, which is slightly different, and we have all kinds of cameras, so that's a bit odd maybe to have a camera lens in the side of the kidney grille. Not really sure what were you thinking there, BMW? But I don't hate it. Now the front kind of leans forward almost when you look at it, so it's a weird one. It might look like a huge car on camera, but it's actually not. It's nicely proportioned. There is a full width display that goes in this windscreen. It's about 17 degrees turned towards the driver and passenger. So they've done some updating maybe to what you haven't seen, because this is part of the Neue Klasse after all. The wheelbase has been stretched. It's kind of from a segment above for this type of car. And there is a long wheelbase version if you're watching this in China, which you're probably not, but just in case you are. So there should in theory be more space on the inside. Not radically different wheels to maybe what we've seen before on some BMW M cars. This is presumably as close to the M version as we're going to be getting, but there will be, as usual, a couple of different trim specs available. Now the light bar is very reminiscent of the original Neue Klasse drawings that we saw. So even on the proposed next 3 Series, this has kind of made it in from prototype to the finished product. I think it looks quite nice. There is still a wiper, of course, because BMW aren't bonkers. Now, this is the iX350, the price on the screen there below. There will be a 10 grand cheaper version coming, but it won't go into production until July next year. That might be more appealing to Irish customers, because as you know, our cars can be very, very expensive. Now, can you fit family stuff in the boot? If you're going to be towing things in the car, 2,000 kilo towing capacity brakes. The boot is 520 litres, which, well, yeah, there is a bit of space down here. Maybe that's where they're getting that from. Can you drop? No, 520 litres. Maybe it's BMW. Is it in here? No, I don't think so. It feels optimistic. How are they measuring that figure? Anyway, yeah, 520 litres, apparently. Thankfully, it's an electric closing boot. Now, come around here. This is where the charging port is going to be. On the same side as a lot of very, very popular EVs. Sometimes this kind of charging situation is difficult with fast chargers. You're stretching cables around. But what is impressive is 400 kilowatts DC charging, which means in 10 minutes you'll get over 300 kilometers into this car. And we are really now seeing, as on the recent G6 video I've been shooting as well, you're talking 10 minutes. And I know you can fit up an internal combustion engine in 5, but 10 for the trade-off of zero emissions is not exactly bad. Now, let's see what the interior is like, because there's been criticism on things like the new BMW iX3 that they've been accused of just not making BMWs feel like they used to. Okay, well, first feel and touch of the materials feel like BMW. This is kind of a nice ivory colour, very simple armrest, nothing major going on, nothing there for holding devices, for families and things like that. Nicely covered are the Isofix seats, so if the kids, they grow up so fast, if they don't need them anymore, you can obviously tuck them away and maybe use them for the grandkids in years to come. The materials here, I have to say, do probably feel decent. They're soft, they're squishy, if that is the barometer. These things that we've seen in other BMWs are still in the backs of the chairs. Headrest slightly different than the shape. Is a car anymore without a panoramic glass roof that can't be opened? So yes, there is one of them. There is little coat hangers, but they're a strange place maybe, because that's going to hang down and smack you in the face. I'd rather see a coat hanger on the B pillar. Not sure why they've done that. There's no exposed metal and stuff as well that you see, like for example on a Volkswagen Tayron, which is a similar price car if you spec it up, especially if you get diesel. You look at the bare metal of the car, the door frames, that is not present. I can fit my feet underneath the seat, so space there is all right. Totally flat floor obviously as well, and you get your climate control and 2 USB-C charging port options down here. So nothing radically different in the back of the car, but I don't think it feels cheap. But then again, the car isn't cheap. As par for the course these days, everything is massively recycled and reused, and PETs are used in the fabrics and the textures of the car. This steering wheel, I like it, but it's very different. You have these buttons that are somewhat haptic. Are we all going to get on with them? Classic enough feeling BMW stalks on it. We've seen this in the iX1 and cars like that, so that's not particularly new. Armrest is very, very small. 12-volt charger there, and there are a mix kind of physical buttons, and obviously this huge big screen, which is just part of the fun. Hasn't changed really. That's kind of what we've seen in BMWs for the last few years. Not sure if you can see it on camera, but certainly at the bottom of this screen, this is the head-up display that goes right across the windscreen, that's angled at that 17 degrees. It looks really, really interesting. It's proper 3D augmented reality. So you have your music source, your weather, your time, your range, all the bits. And interestingly, 55% on the battery there states that 401 kilometers remaining. I'm not sure if AI or BMW have been able to program that in, but anyway, that's giving you an indication of the range of the car. These seats are very, very comfortable. Again, I think they look quite nice. There's a mixture of perforations and stuff for air-cooled seats. Look, there are bits maybe lower down, but I can't be too critical, to be honest with you. I think compared to the X3, this is possibly a bit of an upgrade. I mean, not everyone's going to maybe like this recycled stuff, and maybe this kind of scratchy bits. And I know some people get very triggered by us talking about scratchy plastic in videos, but overall, it's all right. Will some people complain? Yes, it's the internet. It's going to be on sale very soon, but deliveries on the 7th of March. I don't know why they're so specific. Just shy of €74,000. Again, there is a 10 grand more affordable version, but won't go into production until July next year. So realistically, that could be the end of 2026 before we get that. 0.24 drag coefficient, quite impressive for a large SUV. Made in Hungary at a plant that only uses non-fossil fuels during production times, or some sort of weird terminology. I'm not sure what BMW mean by that, but that was in the claim anyway. So it should in theory be a zero emissions plant. Good sized family car. What do you think? Decent range, 108 kilowatt hour battery, so similar size and range to the Ioniq 9, but obviously the Ioniq 9 is a little bit bigger and a little bit more expensive. And again, this will be the M Sport version, so it should be possibly more expensive too as well. But let me know what you think, particularly on this grille, particularly on the interior. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.